ado, I will present Steve Brody.
Okay, so Zach, are we going to have somebody? Oh, okay. Well, it's great to be with you. This is, I think, the fifth year in a row that ISU, which essentially is a kissing cousin of SEDS, as many of you know, perhaps not everyone. The founders of SEDS are the very same three idealists who created the International Space University, also created the SpaceGen organization for young professionals who finished their college. And that body, that third body, has an advisory seat with the UN. So this grand vision that Peter Diamandis, Bob Richards, and Todd Hawley had, along with their mentor, Sir Arthur C. Clarke, to create not only at the undergraduate level with SEDS, but at the graduate level with ISU as a graduate school, and then at the professional level with people in their early 20s and into their 30s, to have a real voice and a real way to influence the direction of the endeavor, the global endeavor of space exploration and development. And as they struggle to get the slides going, that's basically the framework. What I thought I'd do is just give a few charts. I'm going to go over through them very quickly. Just pick out a few things that I think might be relevant. Just so you know, I spent a career at NASA. Worked on, I was at the first launch of the shuttle back in '81. In fact, I had actually gotten into Columbia with John Young and Bob Crippen before the launch, and had that experience and had experience of being there for the first launch. And it was delayed actually 2 days because of a glitch in the computers. And the newspaper down in Florida the next day had this picture of everybody waiting for NASA to decide when that first launch would take place. And front and center on this picture was myself and one of my colleagues from the company I was working for, sacked out on a towel. You know, we'd been there all night long waiting for the launch. And I sent the picture to Bob Crippen, who I'd gotten to work with on the shuttle, and he sent it back with him and John Young saying, "Thanks for your great support, Steve," on STS-1, with me sprawled out asleep at the picture. I had a fantastic time working at NASA for 20 years. Feel free to grab me later if you want to hear about it. I worked on Lunar Prospector, Deep Impact, Genesis, Sophia. I was NASA's space station representative in the Netherlands for 4 years, and worked on strategic planning, use of in-situ resources, etc. So, do I have a device, or am I just going to say next slide? Okay, well, can I ask you to go to the next slide? Great. So, ISU was founded on MIT's campus at a founding conference, April 12th, 1987. Its 25th anniversary is being celebrated this year. And the first chancellor was Sir Arthur C. Clarke, famous from 2001, A Space Odyssey, but a visionary and author of great fame. And forward movers, okay. And the words that really struck me from the credo that the three young founders, Diamandis, Hawley, and Bob Richards put together really spoke to me. The importance of the interdisciplinary studies for the successful exploration and development of space, and a place where diversity of culture, philosophy, lifestyle, training, and opinion are honored and nurtured. It was a present vision for a place, an institution, that would bring people from all over the world together. So what is ISU today? Well, it's a diverse collection of students from around the world who come at the graduate level to seek a master's degree or a certificated summer program or one of the other programs, taught by an international body from around the world. At a campus, we have a campus in Strasbourg, France. That's the headquarters, the main campus. But we have some programs that also move like the Olympic Games each summer to a different campus at a different country around the globe. This is just not to have anybody read any word slides, but I just put up a list of a sample of some of the faculty involved in ISU. People like Jeff Hoffman, 5-time space shuttle flyer, who's a professor now at MIT. He's a faculty member for ISU. Individuals like John Loxton, who advises presidents on space transition matters, who's a specialist in both history and policy related to space. We have individuals from all different walks of life, all different disciplines, from law to economics to science and engineering. And the key thing is they have their day jobs. They are pushing forward the state-of-the-art in their fields, and they come to ISU and teach students for several days or a week or a month. And as the resident faculty in Strasbourg, France, a small corps, which are like department heads, bring people in at different times and make sure that each year the information that's conveyed is coming from individuals who are out in the field doing the state-of-the-art work. So it keeps it fresh. The ISU community now is over 3,500 strong. We have alumni from over 100 countries. You'll see in red all the countries from which alumni have come, and we're working on finding individuals to come from those few places around the globe where there's not yet a representative. About 85% from our statistics remain in the space program, so it's a passionate group of people who not only come and get educated, but also commit themselves primarily to work in the space field, both on the private side, public side, nonprofit, academia, whatever. And 1/3 of recent graduates have been women, and in particular, the U.S. Applicant pool to ISU has produced parity and sometimes beyond parity. We've achieved in 2012, I believe, what does it say there? 61% of the U.S. alumni that graduated in this last set of classes were women, leading the pack of the world. You know, other countries have a long ways to go to get to where the American is in embracing women in all that we do. I won't, again, this is an eye chart for those who like to look at names and pick people out who are alumni of the university. You have a number, in fact, could I see a show of hands? There's a few ISU alum in the crowd, if they would raise their hands. And if you look around and see who those are, if you have any specific questions about what's this ISU like, go talk to them. I've noticed, is that Will there who raised his hand? Will Pomerantz? No? Oh, Nick. Okay. Oh, there's Will over there. My vision isn't that good at that distance. Will from Virgin Galactic will be speaking to you later during the conference, and he's one of our alums. But just a recollection I had. When I first joined, after retiring from NASA, I first joined ISU and took a 2-week program at the mid to executive level that ISU does. And it was in Beijing, China, when we had our summer session for 9 weeks in Beijing. And one of my favorite memories about what the network means amongst the 3,500 alums and those associated with the ISU family is the 12 of us that were in this executive course. There were 3 NASA people, 3 NASA executives. There were 3 Chinese space officials. There was myself. We had a couple entrepreneurs that had companies active in space. We had a fellow that worked technology transfer for the German government with Russia and China. Somebody from Canada, somebody from France. And we were on a professional visit to the Long March, China Long March rocket plant that builds, it's the equivalent of Boeing and Lockheed wrapped up into one. They built a Long March rocket. And the senior board of the company addressed our 12 people. And as we were ushered into this very posh boardroom of the Long March company, I was seated across from the president of the company, and I looked at his lapel, and he had an ISU alumni pin. And that was the president of Long March, China. And he looked across the room and he said, I'm an ISU alum, you can ask me any question you want. And our group got access, not only the 12 of us, but the whole 120 or so students of that summer program got access to facilities, astronaut facilities, and others around Beijing related to the space program that the head of NASA, Mike Griffin, at that time wasn't even given access to, mainly because we had ISU alums as senior members of the space program within the Chinese government and industry. So ISU has this mantra of its 3 I's: interdisciplinary, international, intercultural. That's what makes ISU the niche that ISU occupies, a graduate school with interdisciplinary space education. And when I say interdisciplinary, I mean from engineering to law and economics and everything in between. It's not just amongst the science and engineering. We embrace and seek people from the humanities, from psychology, from languages, from history, all to embrace and help people see from different points of view. Major programs. I've mentioned the summer program. That's a flagship. It's been around since the dawn of ISU, so to speak, and goes around the world every summer. We offer 2 Masters of Science degrees, one in Space Studies and one in Space Management. That's more focused on management and policy. That's a 12-month intensive program, 9 months on the campus in Strasbourg, France, with a 3-month internship facilitated by the network of alums that we have that could be anywhere in the world. We also have an executive MBA program for people further along in their careers who do not have the time to do a full-time program in MBA, but want to just be away from work for 2 weeks at a time over a 18-month period, 9 weeks total away from the workplace over 18 months. And it's the only one, the only MBA, as we know, that has space as its focus, uses space as the case studies, and we had a very nice write-up in the Wall Street Journal for those who like to read what others say about it. All these programs embrace this 3 I's methodology: interdisciplinary, international, and cultural. And they all, the 2 main programs, the Masters of Space, the Master of Science, as well as the SSP, this Space Studies program, space that occurs in the summer, embrace team projects that are topical issues in the space field. People come together across country lines, across cultures, across disciplines, and tackle a problem that may be of great interest to NASA, to the Japanese Space Agency, to EADS in Europe, to Boeing in the US. Well, we had one team project that the World Bank sponsored because it was dealing with disaster predictions in Central America. So all different organizations get to show some interest in these team projects that the students work on in these programs. So the SSP has been all over the globe, every continent except for Africa and Antarctic. And we're working on South Africa. Perhaps be a host. It's competed, and an RFP is put out, and a selection is made of where to go. The map didn't have the ones at the bottom listed, but in 2009, we were hosted by NASA Ames in Silicon Valley. And then we came back to the States in 2012, this last summer, in a very successful hosting by Bob Cabana's folks at the Kennedy Space Center, along with Florida Tech, and 135 students from about 25, 30 countries of all different age ranges who came to those. This is a typical demographic. This is from the Space Studies program. Which year is that? 2000, I can't read it from here. 2010. The mixture of disciplines is in the upper left pie. About 1/2 from the engineering field, but then everything else from policy and law, biology, the humanities, physics, astronomy, all different disciplines represented. 121 participants from 29 countries, average age, I think it says 28 or so. But the average range is we have people that come right out of a bachelor's degree, and others who come after they've had careers in other fields. So we have individuals that come participate in that program in their 40s, 50s, sometimes even their 60s. Another chart, the master's program has similar demographics. Some people, about a third, come without any additional experience beyond a bachelor's degree. 2/3 come with either work experience or a higher level degree, some at the PhD level, or a medical degree, or architecture, law degrees, etc. Team projects, again, a list of projects, everything from point-to-point suborbital flight to viability of new spaceports, disaster risk management, that's one that was done for the World Bank, looking at caves on Mars as potential habitats for humans, and volcano prediction, all kinds of different applications, some more team projects. All of these, we seek support and sponsorship, very often get sponsorship from places like NASA and other organizations. Boeing has supported us for the team project. And students who then become alum and graduate, very often, very regularly give presentations on their team projects at the American Astronomical Congress that meets around the world each year, and at NASA or the European Space Agency, or we did one at NOAA here in the States, which was dealing with the issue of piracy on the high seas, fishing piracy, and the students had formulated an algorithm to search and identify ships who were following a protocol which would identify them as pirates and fishing where they shouldn't be fishing for fish they shouldn't have been fishing. And that was presented to the state, their students from that team project presented that to the Coast Guard, NOAA, the State Department, Pew Trust, and other people who are interested in the results of that study. ISU is supported by all the space agencies. In fact, our board of trustees is something is hard to behold. It's got all the space agencies on it, most of the major aerospace companies, a number of key individuals, the Heinlein Trust supports us, the Arthur C. Clarke Foundation, and others. So here's a picture of a campus building, the main building in Strasbourg, France. We have a high bay, and in it we have an Excalibur Almaz capsule, which the company partnered with a Russian entity, has this photo reconnaissance capsule that is now being marketed for private travel into space. And they put a capsule on loan at ISU for students to do human factor studies on it. Next chart, please. There we go. We have a number of research facilities that have been generously donated by NASA, by ESA, by Inmarsat, a few others. We have an active ground tracking station, a concurrent design facility, a radio telescope that outside astronomers ask for time on occasionally, and other research tools are being accumulated as we go. And some future time, one of the goals of the founders was to have phase one, which was the vagabond mode. They had offices at MIT, but no central campus. Phase two, central campus has been achieved. Phase three is a facility wherever humans establish a permanent presence. So someday we may have a satellite campus in orbit. We've already granted the first degree, an honorary doctorate to Anusha Ansari while she was on orbit. So that was the first degree granted in space. And if we have a colony on the moon someday, I expect there'll be an ISU presence there as well. So I'll just leave you that. One of the phrases often used is that ISU is a gold standard in interdisciplinary space education. That's the niche. Interdisciplinary space education, what makes it the gold standard is this international, intercultural model of education, bringing people together all different walks of life with all different backgrounds and perspectives, who have a passion for space, a passion to help humanity, and a passion to move humanity off this planet, as well as to embrace and improve our livelihood here on the earth. So that's the end of my little sales pitch, and you've earned your lunch by having to listen to me now, but also have the great pleasure. This came about a couple of years ago when I was speaking to students from one of your chapters. They had just won the SEDS project award, and the project was building launch vehicles and or it was a sounding rocket project They did that on our campus. And afterwards, I was talking to the students, and I said, well, you needed to raise some money for this project, correct? They said, yes. I said, did you put together a business plan, use some students from the business school, get them involved, and help fundraise? He said, no, that would have been a good idea. And I said, well, did you do some PR around the campus? Did you use any of the students from the communications department or from the arts or from marketing? No, that would have been a good idea. And it struck me right at that moment. ISU is so committed in its credo, as is SEDS in its foundation, for space, embracing all interests and all disciplines. So from that day, I decided I would create 2 awards. In partnership with the American Astronautical Society, we created a $250 award to the SEDS chapter that has the highest percentage of diversity of majors represented within that chapter. Not only people of the aerospace field, of aerospace engineering, or physics, but we have people from the business school, from the communications field, or other things. And I have that award to present today, and similar in a sense of diversity in bringing more women into the field. We are doing a great job in the States. It's not as it's coming along elsewhere in the world, but we're partnering between ISU and Women in Aerospace. We created a chapter award for the chapter, the SEDS chapter, has the highest percentage of women, the gender diversity. So, if we have a representative, I will first present this award. And this is the certificate here. The check will be in the mail, but I need to know how to make it out payable, so that will come in a week or so. The International Space University and the American Astronautical Society present the 2012 ISU-AAS Prize for Multidisciplinary Participation to the SEDS chapter of the University of North Carolina. And then, the International Space University and Women in Aerospace present the 2012 ISU-WIA Prize for Participation of Women to the SEDS chapter of the University of North Dakota, the Dakota Space Society. Is there a representative from here? If not, I will transmit to them the appropriate time. Well, thank you for your attention, and I look forward to enjoying what you've already been enjoying. Operation and development. And as they struggle to get the slides going, that's basically the framework. What I thought I'd do is just give a few charts. I'm going to go over through them very quickly. I just pick out a few things that I think might be relevant. Just so you know, I spent a career at NASA. Worked on, I was at the first launch of the shuttle back in '81. In fact, I had actually gotten into Columbia with John Young and Bob Crippen before the launch, and had that experience and had experience of being there for the first launch. And it was delayed actually 2 days because of a...
Ado, I will present Steve Brody.
Okay, so Zach, are we going to have somebody? Oh, okay. it's great to be with you. This is, I think, the fifth year in a row that ISU, which essentially is a kissing cousin of SEDS, as many of you know, perhaps not everyone. The founders of SEDS are the very same three idealists who created the International Space University, also created the SpaceGen organization for young professionals who finished their college. And that body, that third body, has an advisory seat with the UN. So this grand vision that Peter Diamandis, Bob Richards, and Todd Hawley had, along with their mentor, Sir Arthur C. Clarke, to create not only at the undergraduate level with SEDS, but at the graduate level with ISU as a graduate school, and then at the professional level with people in their early 20s and into their 30s, to have a real voice and a real way to influence the direction of the endeavor, the global endeavor of space exploration. A glitch in the computers, and the newspaper down in Florida the next day had this picture of everybody waiting for NASA to decide when that first launch would take place. And front and center on this picture was myself and one of my colleagues from the company I was working for, sacked out on a towel. You know, we'd been there all night long waiting for the launch. And I sent the picture to Bob Crippen, who I'd gotten to work with on the shuttle, and he sent it back with him and John Young saying, "Thanks for your great support, Steve," on STS-1, with me sprawled out asleep at the picture. I had a fantastic time working at NASA for 20 years. Feel free to grab me later if you want to hear about it. I worked on Lunar Prospector, Deep Impact, Genesis, Sophia. I was NASA's space station representative in the Netherlands for 4 years, and worked on strategic planning, use of institute resources, etc. So, do I have a device, or am I just going to say next slide? Okay, well, can I ask you to go to the next slide? Great. So, ISU was founded on MIT's campus at a founding conference, April 12th, 1987. Its 25th anniversary is being celebrated this year. And the first chancellor was Sir Arthur C. Clarke, famous from 2001, A Space Odyssey, but a visionary and author of great fame.